How's it going, folks? Nick here at the Chayote Permaculture vlog. I got the sun coming right in my face, so hopefully you guys are seeing everything all right, because sometimes the light balance gets a little weird with that. Otto, the garden cat's just behind me. He's starting to think about hunting. He really wanted to come out here, so he's probably going to be all over the place this morning. And yeah, welcome to the vlog. Today we're going to do a homestead update for the month of March. I've actually had a lot happen in the past week since last week's vlog. A sad story, some happy stories, so we'll get there. And let's just get started today, because it's always usually a long one with the vlog, but the the homestead update. So instead of having you sit here and listen to me at the beginning, let's just get started and look at the good stuff. Let's get going. It's been quite an eventful week back here on the homestead. We've had quite a bit happening. So let's go ahead and start with the somewhat sad news first. I say somewhat, I'll explain that in a second, but just walk in here and see how everyone's doing. Let's see here, we got Rooster. We got my mama, who always wants to come cuddle me in the morning. Yeah. Of course, we got Henry and the chicks. We still have all 6 chicks somehow. It's still quite amazing to me. We'll go check them out in just a minute. And then we have twin 1 and twin 2 in there. She's trying to lay an egg. Or multiple eggs, maybe, who knows. But if you have been watching my vlog for a long time, you'll notice that we're actually missing 1 chicken. So let's see, 2 days ago, I noticed I was back here working, and I noticed that the one that we call Katie's mama, it was one of the first pair of the chickens we have. We had my mama there, always likes to cuddle me, and then we have Katie's mama, Katie being my partner. And I noticed that she was limping, she was moving slowly, but that didn't really faze me too much, because sometimes that just happens. They just kind of are tired for a few minutes and then they kick right back into gear, right? But later that evening, I went to go close up the chicks and the chickens into their coop to make sure that, usually we actually leave the coop open because we don't have that many predators here, but whenever there's chicks, I like to just keep the coop closed just to keep everyone nice and safe and sound. So I came out here to look and make sure everyone's in there, and we're missing 1 hen, and that hen was Katie's mama. So I went down and I was looking all over the place. I had my flashlight out, probably spent 5-10 minutes looking. I finally found her alive, and she was actually in this bucket. So she was self-isolating herself away from everybody else. And so I pulled her out. She didn't really want to come out. She kept walking right back in. And that's a pretty strong indication to me that she is close to death, because usually they'll self-isolate to keep themselves away from the flock if they're dying, especially if they think they have a disease or something like that. They're really smart. They're just like humans, you know. They don't want to infect others. Or I guess recently that's a little bit questionable about humans. But anyway, so she was there, so I grabbed her, I took her inside. We tried to figure out what was wrong with her. We figured it was probably a respiratory thing, because she had like a mucusy thing coming from her nostrils and also in her throat a little bit, so which is pretty serious for chickens. So we looked up what we can do, and really we just had to get an antibiotic or something like that. So we sprayed some antibacterial stuff on there just to help. I gave her some apple cider vinegar and water just to try to get some sort of help with the digestion if that was the problem, or it might help anyway. You know, vinegar is usually good for most things. So we gave her that, and then I put her in the coop that I actually built for the mamas or the Henry and the chicks, and locked her in there just to make sure she was self-isolated and that she wouldn't be near the other chickens or anything like that. Just in case it is something that spreads quickly. I don't want to lose my whole flock because of that. So self-isolating her. Well, next morning I woke up early so I can go down to the feed store to get whatever she needs and bring it back. And first thing in the morning I came out and she was already dead in that self-isolation area. So that was about 7 o'clock in the morning. I saw that, so I brought her out, and what I did is basically I just dug a grave. And I waited till Katie was off her first teaching class, and then we came out here and just paid respects and gave her the love that she deserves, and kind of sat with that for a minute. And then we walked right down this way and right towards where I dug the hole, and I actually dug that hole right near this banana tree, this newly planted banana. It's a red banana, so it's a long-term kind of producing banana. And there's also this avocado tree right here. And so right down there, where all this right now, all these weeds and weed growth and everything, I dug a hole there, and then we basically just buried her. We put her in there and buried her down. So she'll basically, she'll decompose and turn into food for that banana tree and that avocado tree. So she's living on here on the site. So it's always hard to lose an animal, but when you raise livestock, especially raise livestock long term, it just starts to become a regular part of the cycle. Life and death, that's regular. It's a normal part of our cycle in human lives, but human lives, it's a much longer span, right? For chicken, she should have lasted much longer than that, but she had been the head hen most of her lifetime, so she lived a great life. She got lots of love, and she had a good life. So we're very sad to see her go, but at the same time we're happy that she spent the time that she did with us, and we're very, very grateful for her and her contributions to this site. Yeah, it's always a hard day for me when I lose an animal, even knowing that losing livestock's a normal process. That's like part of the process, right? But I almost feel like I'm like somehow failing them in a way, because I'm supposed to make sure that they're living and okay and healthy. And I did my best. I'm not going to sit here and blame myself for that, right? But it's always a hard day. So yesterday was it's one of those days where I just came out here in the afternoon. I just sat with the chickens, and my mama, she came up and cuddled me for a while. And so it's just like, it's one of those days that I just spent a little extra time with them, just to give them a little extra love, because that's what what felt right to me. I just wanted to give them a little bit of extra time and respect. So let's move on to some happier news, mainly being that the chickens are still alive. All 6 chicks are still alive, which is actually quite amazing to me. Usually we lose one. This is the kind of chicken I was expecting to lose during this time, one of these chicks here. But they're growing up, you see. They're starting to do their thing and perch up and kind of explore on their own. Every once in a while I'll come down here, and the chicks aren't actually close to mama. They're just kind of wandering off doing their own thing. As you can see, they're super cute, and now they're starting to grow their kind of more adult feathers and start doing their own little things every once in a while. They're looking a little bit more lanky than they are cute at this point. But we're super happy that we have all 6 of them still alive and well. This whole area has been somewhat of a nightmare to upkeep, honestly, because it's just been so wet. It's actually been, I think, what I've been hearing is it was the wettest February in recent history here in Puerto Rico, or at least that's according to a couple locals who live here and just kind of remember those things. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but usually February is a more dry month for us here in Puerto Rico. So it was very interesting. It was actually really, really wet this whole month. So lots and lots of rain. So that being said, I expected it being supposed to be a dry month, that it would be perfectly fine to have them out in the open and not kind of covered up and having like a roof over their heads and just live with a little bit of rain that comes here and there, blah, 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 right? But it's been so much rain that I've actually had to buy bedding on multiple occasions, just to make sure that I'm upkeeping their coop, to make sure it's sanitary, make sure they're not going to get any sort of disease or anything like that. And yeah, I had to basically go in there and pitchfork the bedding back uphill over and over again. It's been quite a process, honestly, but it's all worth it, because I get to come out here and see these chicks just hanging out. Mama, the chicks are starting to do their own little perching thing, and it's always fun to hear them. And also it's pretty comical to hear every once in a while. You'll hear a beep 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 beep. Something's going wrong with the chicks. I run out here and they're either outside the fence or they're stuck somewhere, and so it's always kind of fun to have them around, Oh, another positive note here. Look at Otto. Good boy. You want to come say hi. Yeah, you good boy. Good job, bud. What have you been up to? You been hunting? Sweet kitty. He's been really enjoying his time back here with me. I've actually been back here quite a bit recently, just trying to get a bunch of projects done. I had a little extra time during the days, so I've been coming back here. So let's give you an update real quick. Last week I redid this entire bed here and direct seeded it, as well as transplanted a few things. But now you can see that all these little direct seeds, they're starting to pop up. So that right there is a row of arugula. That's fun to say in the morning. A row of arugula right there. In between that right there, these two things, these are ají dulce. That's a more tropical pepper that grows really well here in Puerto Rico. I got those as starts from Hacienda Rosa up the hill. In between those are a bunch of small radishes, small round radishes, just to have something to take up the space in between until those ají peppers get much bigger. So by the time that I harvest those radishes, the ají dulce will actually probably be a full size. And I do want to show you this. This is the other thing I've added, a little pond. We'll get to that in just a minute, but you can see Otto's over there taking a quick drink of water. He's actually been really loving this pond. This is the biggest addition, and we'll get there just in a second. Let's just finish this one real quick. Right here you can see I have 2 rows on this kind of raised curved bed of arugula, and you can see those 2 rows of seed that I planted perfectly right there. It's pretty cool. Pretty happy with that growth so far. Really cool to see that. And also at the base here at the bottom we have a row of carrots, and the carrots also coming up. You can see these tiny little guys coming up here. That's all carrot coming up. There's a couple little small things up in here. We also, I think I had some arugula in here, as well as some Asian greens down this little divot. So basically what I did here is this is raised. This curved bed is raised, and then there's a little bit of a divot down here, right, like that right there. And that's where you see all these smaller plants growing. And then this raised bed again right up here is where the carrots are, right along the edge here. So that's how I set up this bed, just because we do get a lot of excess moisture and everything, and I want to make sure these guys have a little bit of a raised area so they don't get too much of a wet foot and suffer from some sort of rot or anything like that. So really happy with this bed so far. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I'll keep you guys posted on it, but yeah, so far so good. I also finally did get around to, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, planting this dragon fruit, which is a vining cactus. I still haven't actually gotten around to attaching it onto this post. So it's going to grow up this post, and then it'll go and grow over that 2x4 beam that's going this way. It'll grow over that, and then the dragon fruit actually needs to go over something before it'll start setting fruit. So that's going to be what it goes over, that 2x4 up there, and then hopefully it'll start producing fruit. The sun is really coming out really strong right now, so hopefully I'm not blinding you or me. I'm not sure which. But here we go. Let's check out the new feature. We're down here and might as well get to this next. This is a quick little feature. I added this, actually it was all on Sunday. I just dug a little bit of a hole. I happen to have some pond liner. I could borrow, I'm really borrowing it, but really just have from up at Hacienda Rosa. They had some scrap pieces, so I didn't want to add something really big. I just want to start experimenting with some aquaculture and some raising of little fish. But look at that. Actually, you can see one of the fish right now, right at the surface there. See? Yeah. Let's see if I can zoom in. Oh, he just went down. But you can see here we have a nice little pond in here. It's just a small little guy. It's nothing big. This seemed to be a really good spot for it, because as the water flows down the site, so it comes from up here, flows down, and same with on this side, it flows down here. And this seems to be a natural site where it all flows and sits in, right? So it all is going to move into this little pocket pond. I call it a little pocket pond because it's just kind of tucked in here in the kind of corner here. It's very small. It's not like a major pond feature, right? So what I did is I just dug a hole and dug it as deep as I want. Not very deep, you know, it's only maybe about a foot deep, maybe 30 centimeters or so. It's not very deep. It's just a small little pond. And then I filled it with just some sand, kind of sand mixture from the local river, just to give some sort of bedding at the bottom there for stuff to start growing in, etc. And then I actually stocked it with fish that they had up at Hacienda Rosa, and my mom also had some just in a pot. So these guys had previously been living just in like a tub like this right here, full of water, and then just a couple little water plants and everything, just to help make that oxygen happen. Because what fish need is they need oxygen, they need shelter, they need obviously water to live in, but they need to be oxygenated water. You don't want it to be too hot, too stagnant or anything like that. So it's really important to have that balance. For me, instead of having running water all the time, obviously with the rain and everything, that's going to help aerate, adding water as the water flows down through the site, right? But I might put in like a little fountain or something like that just to help with the aeration and everything. But as long as you have plants growing in there, the plants are going to be producing oxygen in that water, and they're going to help maintain that kind of oxygen-rich environment for those fish, right? So you don't necessarily need to have running water to make that happen, but obviously running water, if you can have some sort of feature that adds running water, adds aeration to your little mini pond, that's just going to help the fish long-term if there is a problem with that oxygen. But all I know is that Mom had it growing in a small pot. She had a couple little water plants, which I've transferred into here, a couple plants and the fish, and they were just living in there, no aeration, anything like that. They were just fine. And then up at Hacienda Rosa, they had a bin just like that, full of water. And again, same thing. They had a few water plants and everything, and then the fish, no aeration at all. And they've been living for months like that. So I figured, okay, well, if they can live for months in a little bit of a pot with no extra kind of work or effort, then I can make that happen in a tiny little pond. So that's why we added it. So these guys, it's just nice to have another kind of ecosystem that is on site here. And also, I just really love water. You can see, let's see if we can get these zoomed in a little bit. See the little fish in there? Yeah. So these fish are, they basically will eat the mosquito larvae or mosquitoes or bugs or anything like that that come into the site and land here. The other thing that this pond is doing is providing a place for pollinators to come and take a little sip of water. So I actually made like a little bit of a sandy beach on this side so they can land and then kind of walk down to the water's edge and actually be able to drink from there. I also have this little rock here which they can do pretty much the same thing. They can come right there to the edge and drink water. But mainly the thing that I'm really excited about is these fish in here. They're super cool. Those two I think are males. They're kind of fighting each other right now or trying to mark their territories, etc. But there are a bunch of smaller females in here as well as a bunch of babies that are actually from mom's little area. Oh, hey, bud. Otto just came up next to me and wanted some pets. So I've actually been spending quite a lot of time out here just watching the fish and watching the pond, because I just really love water features and pond features, and it's really cool. And right now it's really cool that you can see this beautiful reflection of this coconut palm right above us, right? That's really cool. So I don't know, I enjoy water features so much, and it was really nice to be able to add this little tiny thing. It's nothing major, right? Nothing that's going to be if we end up moving or if something happens, this is going to be really easy to just fill right back in and reset. Ooh, I see some of the babies. Let's see if I can get those on camera for you guys. Where'd they go? It's really hard to follow them here. They're over near that. They're kind of up to this area. There's a couple little bit. You can see them kind of. That's them making that surface of the water move. I'm not sure if you can actually see any of them. But yeah, it's hard to see with the reflection, huh? This little guy right here I actually took from the little tank, the little pond thing they had up at Hacienda Rosa, and it had some algae growing on it already and everything. So I brought that right in. And then there's these nice little floating water plants in here. We actually had a really cold night, and I'm noticing these guys got a little bit smaller, so I'm not sure if they don't like this super cold. I mean, it's not super cold as compared to up north, but for here it's pretty cold. Yeah, look at these guys just swimming right there. Oh, it's so fun to be able to watch fish in here and just have them around. But so far so good. I haven't seen any dead fish yet, so that's a good start to everything, I'd say. And we'll just kind of keep watching this and keep seeing what happens with this little pond feature. I'll keep you posted. But yeah, this is super easy to add, guys. I mean, I just literally, I was saying this earlier, but I dug a hole. I added the pond liner. I added that sand right on top. Along the edges, I used rocks to basically hold down. You can't really see it on that side because I covered it with sand, but over here, you can see some right near these coconuts here. Right there, that's the edge, and I just basically held it down with the rocks. I created like a little ledge, put the pond liner in, and put the rocks on top, just to make a nice, easy, clean edge. And then these coconuts were always here. It's like the path edging, so I just put those right back. And on this side here, so when this overflows, when this gets full, all the way full, it actually will overflow right on this side and then continue down the property like it normally would. So I'm not actually altering any sort of water flow here. I'm just storing the water here for a little extra longer. And that's exactly what pretty much ponds in a landscape, if you introduce a pond to a landscape, that's exactly what you want to be aiming to do. You don't really want to be like adding something that's going to be devastating to the thing if it overflows or anything. You want to be able to just fit it right into the landscape. You can see they're doing a whole bunch of swimming around and kind of fighting right now. I think it's pretty fun to watch. Lots of commotion happening in there. There'll probably be a little bit of a fight, maybe a dead fish at some point, but that's okay. But when this thing overflows, you can see right here, if I pull this down, it's flowing out right now. So that's the overflow right there. So whenever too much rain, when we get a lot of rain or anything like that, and it starts to overflow, it's not going to cause any damage. It's going to nice and gently overflow right here, right underneath this rock. It's going to go underneath the rock to this little edge where I have the, you can see the pond liner there. And I'll probably end up covering with this sand or anything or something like that, just to make it a little bit cleaner and so I don't have to look at the pond liner all the time. But again, this is literally, I just added this in 2 days ago, so I'm still kind of tweaking it and making it perfect and more pretty. But right there, that's where it's all going to overflow, and that's just going to flow right down this way and then down the property. And that's exactly how the water is flowing already. So again, I'm not altering a water flow, I'm just adding a little feature which actually is just going to hold the water a little bit longer. And it also happens to create a cool little ecosystem that I can have there that'll help control the mosquitoes on site. It'll give me a little bit more biodiversity on the site. And that's always what I'm looking for, more biodiversity. And give a place for the pollinators to find water all the time if they need it. And so it's just kind of a win-win-win, and I've always wanted to have a pond on site, and I've just been trying to figure out exactly where. I had a couple little sites that I thought would be a good spot, and finally I decided right there, that's the spot, there's our pond. So, you know, again, pond, I say pond, it's a very micro pond, so I call it a pocket pond because it's just kind of tucked in that little corner right there. It's nice. I think it'll be a nice little feature with the big rock right there, especially when I get a little bit more plants and flowers all around it, just to make it a nice little inviting area. So really excited to share that with you guys, just because I'm really excited about it. It's always fun to share with you guys something I'm really excited about. The other thing I'm going to show off right here, since we're here, is all these tomatoes. You can see we have like non-stop tomatoes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's down there 5, 6, and that's all on just this little arm here. And there's still more flowers coming up here. There's a bunch of new ones over here. There's a bunch on that side. There's one that hopefully will be ready soon right here. It's starting to be really close. Another nice big fatty right there. There's a whole bunch of them all throughout here, and this one is our first one that's really close to harvest, turning red finally. So at this point I'm really hoping we don't get too much rain, because with those big tomatoes they'll end up splitting if too much rain gets on them. So I could try to cover this a little bit with a shade cloth just to help keep some of that water off, but I prefer to let the natural things happen, and if this tomato can survive all that and ripen and not split, that's the kind of genetics I want to be breeding. So if we find one that gets really big, even though it's wet, doesn't split, I'll keep those seeds and use that for the next generation. So that's how I approach those kind of things here on the site. Let's really quickly come down here and show you guys this garden down here. This one, you can see, has been taking off from when it started as a little baby thing and not much happening. It's really taking off. The green beans have been really coming in strong. I've just harvested a bunch of green beans, and look, there's a few more on right now. They're still growing, and really nice to have just nice fresh green beans right on site. I always of course it's good to have fresh green or fresh any sort of vegetable on site. And this chayote up here, it's flowering all over the place. You can see it's flowering all over the place here, and on this side especially, it's doing lots of flowers. Actually, look, there's a bee on it right now. Let's see if I can get you a little bit closer. I think there's a bee on that flower at the bottom. He's kind of moving around a little bit, but that right there, that's a chayote flower. That's choyo, I think they also call it in various other places. So this guy produces a vegetable that's very similar to a kind of, it's like between a cucumber and a zucchini and a squash. I don't know, it's something like that. It's in that same kind of general family. And yeah, these guys, I'm really excited about it because it's a perennial vine. It'll just keep producing and keep producing. And you can see it grows rampantly here. And it's all the way out here, and look at it, it's growing over this way. It's going over and over. The leading tip is way over there, and that's not even counting the leading tips that are going this way across that fence line. And then you can see this thing's going all the way across the fence here. It's actually coming up over this little trellis I have for those winged beans, coming down and trying to come out this way. So this I'm not really going to be able to keep, but this right here, the leaves, the new leaves and everything, these are edible. So I can actually cut this off, take the tips off, and use this as food if I wanted to. Let's see, all this is still all growing, all this chayote growing, even more flowers and everything right up over here. So this thing's going to be producing, and it's all the way up and over to there, and the leading tip, even though you can't see it because of all this sun probably, it's right over here, and that's going to tell me right now that I need to come and clean up all these excess vines. So lots of growth on that thing. I'm really excited. Oh, I didn't even show you guys this. I'm really really excited. There's too many things to be excited about right now, you know. Right here, check it out, our first bunch of plantains, true plantains here on the property. And it's It is coming in strong. I'm really excited to see we actually have quite a bit on there that are fertilized and will become plantains for us. So that's really, really exciting to see. Not the best lighting. It's hard to get a good shot of this one right now because of the way the sun is this early in the morning. But this right here, these are the plantains that grow here in Puerto Rico very frequently and are all over the place. So it's really cool to have those right on site. I actually got those from the neighbor next door. He was out there working one day. He's like, hey, you want a couple of these? And I was like, yeah, of course. So planted those. That was towards the beginning of the pandemic. So that was probably April or May. And so now it's starting to flower and produce fruit. And they probably still won't be ready for another, couple of months anyway. So there's quite a bit long production cycle, but really cool to see here. Up at the top, we also have this other rack that had been flowering in the past, but now it is a full rack, and these are the Plantains. And I still haven't gotten around to harvesting this flower to eat and use it in a dish, but that's on the to-do list. So that'll be coming soon, hopefully. We actually have eggplants coming on. You can see one right down there. That's a little eggplant baby coming on. There's also one right there, right in there. We got eggplant happening over here. Super cool to see. And check it out, guys. We had these 2 papayas already growing. There's actually started to be a 3rd flower, and that's actually now pollinated. So let me show you to the other side of that so you can actually see what's happening with it. So I think it was just pollinated recently, and let's check it out. Right in there, you see that little baby. There's a flower. It's still kind of intact, but you can see that big bulge thing. That's the ovary of the flower, and that's actually the fruit. And so that's going to become a new papaya as well. So this tree finally have a nice, good, very productive female tree right where I want it. It's taken me very long to get to that point. I keep planting them. They keep being males. What can you do? But that one, finally, we got a female. Check this out. Otto's a hunter. And he has a cockroach right there that he found and he's hunted. And he'll actually he'll bring these in for us and be like, look, I got you food. And but he actually eats them. So he'll probably eat that once he's done playing with it for a while. He doesn't really like the legs. That's why he keeps spitting it out like that. But he'll hunt those for us. So it's really nice to have a cat that does that hunting, because I'll tell you one thing, Katie, my partner, does not like these cockroaches. And most people don't really like cockroaches. They don't really bother me too much. Look at him. He might eat it right on camera here. It'd be kind of fun to see. I haven't actually seen him. I don't think I have any shot of him doing it on camera, so we'll just kind of see what happens. But as always, cats are going to play with their food. That's kind of what they like to do. That's Otto for you. He's our cockroach killer. He has recently caught lots of lizards and the coquilles, the little tree frogs we have around here. I try to save those anytime I can. There's plenty out there, but if I can catch them and let them back out before they get kind of too injured, and I'd try to do that. But the cockroaches, I don't mind too much if he eats it all. So, I do actually, one more thing I do want to show you. Check that out. Pineapple flower. I don't know if you guys all of you have seen a pineapple flower, but there you go. It's a beautiful one right here. We actually planted this guy probably in the first couple months we moved here. So this guy's just about 2 years old, and it's now producing a flower. And we basically put this in from the top of a pineapple that we ate, and we put it in the ground here, and it has produced, and it will hopefully be producing a pineapple this year. We'll see. But it's such a beautiful flower, and I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I don't think I've seen one like super purple like that for quite some time, at least, or at least maybe I don't really see the pineapples exactly when they're flowering. I see, oh, there's a pineapple on now. I don't really always see them when they're flowering. So in case you've never seen one, there's a pineapple flower. That's all for me today, guys. Hope you did enjoy that. If you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel, or like the videos, or share the videos, something like that. It really helps me get more eyes on the videos and more people watching these things. Also, I want to say that I'm now over 600 subscribers. Oh man, thank you guys so much for being such a strong community and getting me up to that 600 number. I really appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I'm gearing towards that 1,000 mark. That'll probably happen. Who knows when it'll happen, but I'm hoping it'll happen in the next few months, just based on the growth that I'm seeing recently. I'm really hoping to get up to that 1,000 mark, because that's a big, if I can get to 1,000 mark before April, when I started this whole thing, that'd be amazing. 1 year to 1,000 subscribers, that would be super. I'd be so happy with that. So if you can help me out with that, if you're watching this at this point and you made it to the end, you're probably one of my super fans. Please share this channel. Please share some of the videos to try to get more people on there, and encourage them to subscribe, like, and share, and all those kind of things, right? And Until next time, have a good one.